Thank you all again for coming out. Did y'all have a good time? Awesome. Listen, I mentioned their names before, but I want to give another recognition to our special committee that put this together. Jerry Conway, Denise Conway, Ray Bacon, Ross Buchholz, Rodney Fannin, Mark Milstead, Dan Price, and Jim Shanley. Give them a round of applause. There's a few other people here that I really wanted to recognize. It's part of our staff that make this the actual reality. Nicole Halder, Jordan Rue, Kim Fryer, Beth Unite, and the woman who probably hasn't slept in the last 48, 72 hours, Leslie Schultz, who made this all possible for y'all. Thank you so much. So I wanted to introduce the Doyle family. Trek, Kristen, Kaysen. Not only of the clients, but Doyle Seelbach has been a sponsor of Norwood Warriors Classic for many years. Doyle served on the board for many years, was our board president. I got to have the honor of getting to work with him and learn from him, and getting now to learn from and work with Kristen, his wife. So they've been phenomenal, and we cannot thank them enough, and I'm going to give them the mic and a few words to say for us.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here and supporting this worthy cause, this great organization that we all love. My name's Trek Doyle. Spoiler alert, my lovely wife, Kristen, is here with us, so you know the story's not going to be that dark. And this lovable moose is my son, Kaysen Doyle. Sadly, our connection to Wonders and Worries is not uncommon. It seems incredible to me now, but it was 16 years ago in January that we had just returned from a vacation in Acapulco when Kristen was feeling a little under the weather and decided she wanted to go to see the doctor. She was worried that she had strep throat and she wanted to make sure that Kaysen didn't get sick. But she wasn't really feeling that bad. She went in to see the doctor drew some blood, and then left us a voicemail message later that day that said, you need to come in first thing in the morning and you need to bring a support person. And 48 hours later, she was hospitalized, undergoing chemotherapy for leukemia. Now, Kristen does not do anything halfway. There's no good kinds of leukemia. They're all terrible. But she was diagnosed with an especially rare and very lethal form of leukemia. And so we know pretty quick that we were not gonna, the chemo alone was not gonna fix it, right? Like the relapse rate was too high. So she had a bone marrow transplant in her future. We knew that pretty quick. You know, we started the chemo to try to get her into remission. And as parents, as husband and wife, we were overwhelmed, right? You know, nobody plans for this kind of thing. Just came out of the blue, you know, no indication. You know, as parents, we didn't know what to say or what to do or how to tell Kaysen or what to tell Kaysen. And he was 5 at the time. You know, thankfully we had good family support. Kristen's family, her mother had moved down. Her father was planning to join as soon as he retired in a few months, but he moved that out when we obtained that diagnosis. And her sister lives in Austin as well. So we had good family support. But we still were kind of at a loss as to how we should handle and how we should address these issues with Kaysen. So we became connected with Wonders and Worries. A friend kind of recommended them, and that's how we met. And we were amazed that an organization like this that helps kids cope and handle situations like that, you know, where the parent or caregiver is diagnosed with a life-altering illness like leukemia. You know, that there was already an organization in existence that did these things, you know, was amazing to us. I think it had only been in existence maybe a couple of years at the time. And so it was through that connection that we eventually met Meredith Cooper, who, if you don't know, is one of the co-founders of Wonders and Worries. And Meredith and Kim Fryer kind of helped with Kaysen along his journey, and Kaysen met with them, you know, sort of regularly throughout that treatment. You know, the low point in that whole story was the actual bone marrow transplant. And my hope is that nobody here really understands what's involved in that process, but on a general level, what they do is they administer a near lethal dose of chemotherapy. How they arranged or how they came to the conclusion as to what a near lethal dose was, I didn't ask because I'm thinking the answer probably wasn't very pretty. And then they follow that up with, full body radiation, because leukemia is everywhere in your body. They can't just isolate the radiation. And the goal of all that is to basically kill you. It's to kill the existing bone marrow in your body, so that when they introduce the new bone marrow, the hope is that it engrafts and that it gives you an entirely new immune system. And thankfully, Kristen's sister was a match, and that's what we did. But during that process, I was away. I was in Dallas with Kristen. They didn't do bone marrow transplants in Austin at that time. And so we were in Dallas. I was living in a small apartment with my mother-in-law and Kristen that was near the hospital, and was up there for 3 months, or not 3 months, but 3 weeks, almost a month before I came back, and still a couple of weeks before, another month or so before Kristen was able to come back. And that's when I think Wonders and Worries really provided the most benefit to Kaysen, because he was staying in Austin with my father-in-law, and they really helped us navigate through that dark time. That's kind of the parents' perspective on this, but since we have him here, I thought I'd let the lovable moose speak to that.
Yeah, so when I was 5, I was kind of used to being the center of attention. I mean, I was an only child, so I didn't really have to compete with anybody, but I was kind of smothered with it, with my grandparents, my aunt, my parents. And it all sort of changed when my mother had to go through her bone marrow transplant. All of a sudden, I didn't have the attention I was used to, and that's when I started with Wonders and Worries. Obviously, I was young, so I don't remember everything about my time at Wonders and Worries, but I remember really important things, like the ice cream parties we would have, or like playing with Knights in the playroom, or especially Meredith. She gave me this space that was just me to talk about how I was doing, how I was feeling, help me cope with what was going on, which was really important for a young kid to kind of get at this moment. And so I stood there, and it gave me time to really figure out what was going on. I remember feeling comforted in a time where I felt very confused, and I didn't really have the words for all of this when I was a kid, but I remember feeling very safe. So all in all, Wonders and Worries gave me the chance to really have a safe space to kind of get through this. And without it, that time in my life, and probably who I am now, would be completely different. So I'm very thankful for that.
So the deal is, it could happen to us, it happened to us, it could happen to you, it could happen to anyone. No one plans for a dire diagnosis like this. But thank goodness that we have an organization like Wonders and Worries that is waiting in the wings to help our kids manage through that process. Thank you all for your support here today. It's a wonderful organization and a worthy cause, and a good use of your time, effort, and resources. Thank you very much.